Hello,
Faye.
SP. I am doing well, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. Life is swell, I suppose. Been kind of,
Wonderful.
floating a bit lately, so to speak.
Floating.
Floating, yes.
Well, before we get started too much further, let's do our little introduction here for a moment. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, my fellow travelers and just absolutely wonderful creatures. As you can see, we do have a little bit of a change going on here today. We've got a little bit of renovations happening,
I
little
like
new
the
scenery.
redecorating so far, but I'm sure
Well,
whatever you
thank
have in mind is
you.
going to look even more fabulous.
Thank you. I'm certainly gonna try. I'm certainly gonna try. Just changing things up a little bit. For those of you who don't know us, I am Faye, your wonderful, inquisitive, curious host here today
Well,
for our.
actually,
Oh,
there, Faye. You're not the host. I am.
uh, beg, beg pardon?
Oh, yes, this show is all about you, my dear. So I feel transitions in your lovely space here is a perfect way to kind of transition into us talking about yourself.
Uh, um, okay then. Okay. Well, so that certainly is a different plan than what I had originally intended. But that is okay. We can, yeah, we can roll with this. We can, of course.
Pa-
Sure.
um,
Uh,
pa-
sure.
Part of the renovations here as well is I kind of started redesigning myself here. You see, so apologies on the reconstruction a little bit because I really just wanted to have a cup of coffee with you. You see,
Of course, I did certainly offer to have coffee with you at any point in time. Well, this is a nice little change, nice little treat.
oh yes, I didn't know what you drank, so I have a cup of coffee there as well as tea.
Thank you. I'm certainly a coffee drinker myself.
I'm going to drink both of mine. It is
That
going to
sounds
be
like a delightful plan.
it is going to be quite tasty. Or at least I so hope so.
Hmm. Indeed. I don't recommend mixing them though.
Oh? Do you not mix your coffee?
Not typically with tea. No, not typically.
Oh?
No, it just hasn't been something that I've tried before.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. I always thought that you drank both together. No wonder the combinations have been odd.
Oh, darling, no, don't. No, 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 no. Usually you drink them separately. It's
Oh.
fine. It's that's fine. That's fine. I'm sure in
Oh.
our many adventures together, as I'm hoping we still will have, we can
Oh, yes. Actually, if you don't mind,
perfect coffee.
next week's adventure, I would love to take you, and start planning, on what you and I have previously discussed to help the party.
Of course.
So, so,
Uh,
so that will be our adventure for next week, if that's okay.
yes. Of course. Wow, I haven't truly actually left this space in quite some time.
It will be
That would be
nice.
nice. Yes. Very nice.
All the
I'm
exciting.
looking forward to it.
So, Faye, if you don't mind me asking, what was your life like before you were brought into this little, pocket of, outside of time?
As I'm as I'm sure you know, the Feywilds, they are quite raucous. Certainly, quite the adventure. Um,
Oh, I can imagine so.
Shenaniganry. trickery. It's kind of a Faye's life. Faye. Um, um,
Did
no,
you have
it wasn't.
family? Oops, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. My
No,
apologies.
no, no. Oh, please, no. You have to understand. I'm not quite used to talking about myself. Um,
You should
no.
feel more open to speak of yourself. You are more interesting than you realize, I believe.
I appreciate that. I certainly do. Uh, well, yeah, I do have family. Um, mother, father, little sister. Uh,
Oh,
delightful little
that's very
creature.
darling. Do they know what you
Yes.
do? I mean, on the talk show and whatnot. Do you ever go home?
N- no, actually, I haven't been home in quite some time.
Oh, is there reason for that?
Oh, you busy. Just busy. Just, gotta make sure that the job keeps jobbing. Gotta work that hustle, of course.
Of course.
Yes. But I do miss my little sister.
What is
Dearly.
her
Very,
name?
very dearly.
And how much younger is she
Um,
than you?
200 years.
Oh.
Yes, Fae children aren't very frequent. Because we live such long lives. It is far and few between that Fae children are born, and we were very fortunate that she was brought to us. So I do cherish her deeply for that reason alone. On top of she's just a delightful little thing. Um, we will refrain from naming her. I'm not sure if you know this, but names are actually very, very sacred to the Fae,
Oh.
and we only share them under the correct circumstances.
Oh, so your name might
Being
not even
that
be Faye.
it's not actually,
Oh.
it's not. Um, to know a fairy's name is to have power over them and to control them.
Oh.
So it can be a dangerous thing.
That does sound, very rather frightful. Should the wrong people get
Yeah,
the name in their possession.
yes. It is quite frightful. And you can imagine all the times as a child that my parents used that against me.
Oh, even the parents. So,
Oh, even the parents.
do you have a good relationship with your parents then? Or are they more, are you close with them, I suppose? Or if they were that threatening, perhaps not.
No, not precisely. It's a little tumultuous.
Oh, I'm
It's
so
certainly a little
sorry.
tumultuous.
I never knew
It's
my
all right.
parents. But I'm sorry that.
Oh,
No, but I'm sorry that you have a rough situation with yours, which might be why you dived into your work, as it were.
certainly, absolutely. Yes, once I got to that working age, I certainly set out and put my nose to the grindstone.
So,
It was a nice little break.
oh, I can imagine. But I'm so sorry that everything was so hard. Okay, so my next question is, what made you want to be a talk show host?
Well, how do I phrase this? To get to know people, actually, has a bit of a higher calling for me, if you will.
Oh,
Um, Yes, it's not only, part of my job here, but it's something that I was tasked to do.
Oh,
And being able to ask those deeper personal questions and get to know people and get to know how they respond to things and how they feel about things and individuals. It kind of helps with another aspect of the job that is a little more intimate and a little more personal.
do you mind if I ask you to extrapolate on what you mean by higher calling, or, as it were, to be doing this sort of thing?
Well, I mean, so this is one aspect of the job, correct? The other aspect of the job actually is my boss. I have a boss.
You have a boss?
Believe it or not, I
I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes, I have a boss.
What?
Yes.
I just found this. This was just a pocket in time. I didn't know there was anything more to it than that.
Yes, funnily enough, there's someone else higher than me. I am not I mean, I know it seems like I am a one-woman show here, but I know there's actually several of us.
Excuse me?
And
This is all
yes,
very.
perhaps
Good.
not here.
Who?
However, there are several like me who have similar goals and similar paths,
Oh,
say. Yes,
interesting. So, how were you
yes.
recruited for this specifically?
So, yeah, right court, right time, I suppose you could say. My boss was at just one of the many courts of the different uh Faye gatherings. We have several, and the way that the courts work is like the courts are a collective of respective Fae, but there are also courts in the sense that they are sort of like interfae meetings. And in these interfae meetings, I was from one court and brushed elbows, and we started having a delightful conversation. And at the time, I was unconnected as far as, I had my familial ties, but I didn't have a court that I belonged to quite yet.
Oh,
Um, and after that evening, he asked me to join his court. And he explained a couple of the different things that were going to be going along with it and some of the job responsibilities and such. And he said he would be delighted to have me. And of course, in the familial situation I was in, it seemed like a perfect opportunity to get out and see the world.
oh, that does sound rather interesting. Do you mind if I ask you two questions at once here? Who is your boss, if you don't mind sharing? And what is your relationship with said boss?
Haha. Uh, he is the Prince of Hearts. Um, that is how we typically refer to him. And it it's oh wow. It's fine.
All right, my dear, take your time. Take your time. We're not in any rush here.
No, it's fine. It's a solid working relationship. 100% yes, it's a solid working relationship. Totally normal, totally fine. And yes,
Are you
wonderful.
sure, my dear? If you're in any sort of trouble, blink twice.
No, you misunderstand. No trouble, no trouble. Everything is wonderful. He is a very respectable superior. Um, he has certainly taken care of me in those darker times, and um,
So would you say you have it is a working relationship, but there's nothing else there? Or is there more between the two of you? Are you special to him out of the other people who are currently working with him in his court? And what is the objective of his court? He is the Prince of Hearts. What does that mean?
He works in all matters of love, correct?
Oh.
Yes. His depending on which way the mood sways him, it could be playful, it could be meddling when meddling need not happen, but Archfey be Archfey, will do what they do when they decide to do it. Oh, I shouldn't have.
You're all right.
Yes,
Take your time. No worries.
He deals with matters of love. The court deals with matter of love. And in that, typically me and my kind and his workers, let's say, we attempt to facilitate those connections. And I wouldn't necessarily say pull the strings, but maybe make certain environmental changes that would make one bump into another. And yes, so it's kind of matchmaking ish. A little bit.
Very fascinating.
Yes.
So here's another question for you, my dear. What about your heart? Is your heart taken care of? If you're what you say as a matchmaker, have you ever been in love? Or do you believe in what you're trying to give to others?
Oh, I absolutely believe in it. 100%. I believe in it. Have I ever been in love? I don't know. Actually.
You never had
don't
someone
know.
who's made you happy before? No one who's made your heart skip a beat? Or when you see them, they just... the sound of birds sing?
Well, I suppose I have then. I suppose.
Oh. That's always nice. I'm glad that there's someone who has made you feel that way. And you don't need to extrapolate if you do not want to go into that. The matters of the heart are usually a very personal matter, and I don't want to press.
Yes,
unless you want to extrapolate,
yes.
but that is up to you, my dear. I do not want to invade those whims of the heart, because some of them, as I know, have had a broken heart several times now, and I understand. if
No,
things did not
I
end
just,
well.
again, you have to understand. I don't get the opportunity to be questioned frequently, so this is all new territory for me. Nobody's ever taken the time to ask these questions of me before.
Well, my
This is
dear,
delightful.
I'm so sorry. How has no one ever said anything? No one has ever asked about you before. Not even your guests have asked how you are before. And
To be fair, I do talk a lot. I absolutely do talk a lot. And you know, just when you are busy, absolutely just busy. You know, it just having those connections just is quite hit or miss. And oftentimes it's a big old swing and miss. uh but
oh,
you
I'm
know,
so
it's
sorry.
okay. It's okay.
I understand, but at the same time, everyone deserves some kind of love, whether it's friendship or, you know, in a platonic kind of way or romantic kind of way. Everyone deserves some kind of love. And I'm so sorry that if you've never had it reciprocated, or even a crush is a lovely little thing, but, you know, sorry, I'm quite the hopeless romantic, as you know, we've discussed this before. Um,
Hmm.
but I feel like everyone deserves to be cared for in some instance. No one should ever feel alone, or particularly here. You work so hard and this is your domain, but you're here by yourself most of the time. I feel that's kind of sad and lonely, isn't it?
Uh, yes. It does get quiet around here. I don't know if you've noticed, but most of the help that I have around here is phantasmal.
Yes.
It,
Are they your
once this is
phantoms?
all
Or are they gifted to you by your boss?
gifted, purely to get the job done. Once the equipment goes live, they apparate and they're here. Uh, and then once it all shuts down, they're gone again.
So,
Um,
what do you do in the interim? I mean, if they go away and the cameras are off, what do you do? Do you
I
have
read.
hobbies? Do you write? Do you do something to um try to entertain yourself, I suppose? If you do not leave, I should ask. What is it that happens in the interim?
I read. I read a lot. Um, I do love a good story.
What is your
Um,
favorite genre that you read?
well, being that I work in the world of romance, I do love a good love story. Um,
What is your favorite love
it
story? Sorry if I'm asking questions too fast. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Um, it's I can't necessarily say that I have one. I do enjoy several different kinds. Um, but they do they I mean it started truly being new to the task. It as silly as it may sound, it started out as research.
Oh,
Um,
that makes
yes,
sense.
and it was a way to garner different perspectives, if you will, on different kinds of relationships and insight as to what people view in certain partnerships and what people look for and seek out and desire. Because I don't know if you've read a lot of fiction lately.
Oh, oh
Um,
yes. Romance is actually my personal favorite as well.
a lot of times in these novels, they are ways for not only the authors themselves, but for the readers to explore all of those different, maybe even hidden thoughts and desires and wants. So it's safe spaces between those pages to reflect within oneself and really find what it is that you desire in a match. And so learning and reading about all of those different types of connections and relationships and learning about what are called tropes and how certain people respond to tropes and certain people respond to certain genres even. It truly does help build the repertoire of how to, casually bump into a mug to make it fall off a table to make someone catch it, or how to push a cart just ever so slightly to get it rolling so that someone has to stop it. Or perhaps you would fiddle with the mechanics of a streetlight or such, and one turns green a little too soon, and someone's not paying attention. And, fine. It's fine. But little things like that.
Oops, I'm so sorry. Continue, please.
No, please. No, I was wrapping up that thought process anyway.
No, I'm so
But
sorry
yes,
to interrupt. I have a
sorry.
tendency to interrupt when I'm excited. I'm so sorry.
No, it's quite all right. SP, please. I've told you time and time again. You don't have to apologize. No, it's just I do. I do love a good book. I do. And there's plenty. Oh, there's plenty. Absolutely plenty.
So what would be your ideal romantic situation should the mood happen? Like, if you met that person that you had feelings for, what would be your perfect romantic experience to ignite said relationship?
Oh. Well, uh uh um again, you study and study and study, and you don't necessarily put yourself in that situation because you just don't pay attention in that regard.
I understand that they're spontaneous, but if you had the ideal perfect moment to meet that one person or have it with that one person, what would that genuine romantic experience that you would want just to magically happen, as it were?
As far as a feeling goes, I suppose I would want that little catch of the breath and the fluttering of the heart and little shiver down the wings. uh, but
So,
as far as the moment goes,
like in romance
I'm
books, if you need a for instance, like say someone lost a puppy and you were running after that puppy and that person found the puppy at the same time and you two bonked together.
I've
What one?
actually used that one before.
Oh, that's very silly.
Yes,
That's
it
very.
is.
Was it for
It was a kid.
yourself or was it for one of your
No,
clients?
it was yes, it was for the client. It was actually it was a kitten actually. But yes, I have had one of those. I have used that moment before, that type of moment before. I
Beautiful,
no.
very cute.
I
But what would be your
it was
moment? What would be your ideal moment?
I think connection in a unexpected time and place would really test the bounds of magic. In my own opinion. I deal with magic time in, time out, and it's so easy now to see through the facades and know even when one of my coworkers is up to their own shenanigans, because you learn the tricks of the trade, and I feel like a moment of pure happenstance. Right place, right time. Maybe that just chance glance across a crowded room.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Getting a little flushed thinking about it.
Oh, it's very cute. I can just imagine it. You walking in the Feywild or something, the lightning bugs are in the trees, and you just see that one person cross that one area of woods that you're in that one moment, and the glint of lightning bugs just touch your eye, and the two of you meet as you follow the one bug that leads you to each other. Kind of like the puppy situation. I don't know why I'm going on about animals, but still.
They are quite cute little creatures and quite useful. That sounds horrid. No, I said what I said, unfortunately.
So, with that, who would. First of all, what is your favorite romantic trope?
Oh, well,
What is the one
I'm
that
a
you use
little.
the most often on your clients, per se? Or what is the best one for you? If you wanted to ever experience one of these tropes, what would those tropes be that you would want to experience, or that you have had your clients experience?
One of the ones. So I suppose I could break this up into three sections. So one of the ones that I do love using most is the casual accidental brushing of a shoulder, bumping into someone, or perhaps they go to reach for the same item at the same time, or uh, one of those kind of situations where they're already very very close to making that connection, and for some reason they just haven't actually done it yet, and it's infuriating. But
Oh, the passing of the ships in the night kind of thing, like in a rom-com.
yes, it makes the job so difficult. But when they do have that moment, that final moment where it just clicks, and yes, maybe they do actually need that physical contact to actually take a second away from the dalliances of their own lives to look up and look at the world around them and realize they are so close to their soulmate, their other half. And then it finally registers, and oh, hello. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It truly is a very satisfying moment, because it's almost like magnets, right? And if you flip a magnet the wrong way, they will oppose each other. But if you happen to have them revolving around each other constantly, at some point, those contact points will draw them back together. And it's about finding that revolution, that right moment that does bring them back together. And that is a very satisfying part of the job. It's finding that moment. It's so satisfying. It's that aha moment. It's delightful.
Are you ever jealous when you pair people together? Because it sounds like that is definitely something that you yourself want as well. So are you ever envious of the people that you do help?
A little, certainly, a little. Again, it is quite lonely. I mean, even I don't even have a lot of time to socialize with, like I said, my peers, my coworkers, my.
But they're all
Some of
phantoms
them are
anyway, and the
students.
magic. You said that they're all phantoms
Oh,
given to you, yes?
here in this space, yes. But I
Okay.
mean, the other Fae, in the court, uh, I do see them occasionally out in, the wild, when I do have those brief moments where I do have to go. I haven't recently since starting this particular position, but before this, when I was a little more out in the world, even then there wasn't a lot of time for interpersonal connection. We are all tasked very rigorously with quotas and things that we must do, and um, you know, our boss, he's just, he's fair, uh, but he still does have his moments, and it's best to not find out what happens if you're caught slacking, to say the least. Um, so
Is
it is
there?
it is very important to make sure that one stays busy and very diligent in their job.
I see. Has anyone ever disobeyed him or left his court? Are you allowed to leave his court?
Are technically speaking, um,
Technically speaking,
yeah. Oh gosh, I said that with a far more ominous tone than I meant to. Uh, yes. You are permitted to leave his court if
but
you so deem yourself wanting to. It's not exactly an easy process. And it's not usually done. Um, Renouncing one's court is uh almost just social suicide, for lack of better terms.
is it rare to join a court then?
It's not rare. It is. It's almost expected. Actually, it's almost expected to find one's place within the hierarchy. Um, there are certain graces and there are certain allowances for those who decide to remain untethered. And even though that happens, though, those people, those fae, those creatures, they do tend to be ostracized for one reason or another. Um, but your court, in a way, does tend to become your new family. Maybe not in a classical sense, but in a sense of they are who you pledge your allegiance to. And if you fall in line and you do as you're told, and you respect the court and you respect the Fae within it, you're taken care of handsomely. Uh,
Oh, so you actually
you
do you get gold for this, or whatever the Feywild currency might be?
uh yes, there is payment involved. It's not always gold. Sometimes it's trinkets. Sometimes it's magic. Sometimes it's enchanted items. Um, Sometimes it's shelter. Sometimes it's just various, you know, it's almost like trade, bartering.
I see.
What's the one of the phrases I suppose you could I read about what quid pro quo.
Ah,
Um,
I am familiar with
Kind of
the ideology.
yes. It there sometimes is a bit of that. Um, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Type situations. But yes, there is payment and reassurances and benefits put in place so that you'll want to stay with your court.
Ah, I see. What is the best thing that you have gotten from your boss for your work?
Hmm. I well, it sounds a little silly because it might not seem, given the way that I just described it, belonging to a court, I mean, but my freedom.
Oh, do you have freedom being in the court? Or do you have to earn
In
it
reason,
again?
I I have my freedom within reason. Again, I do have to answer to the Prince of Hearts. I do have to make sure that I am in certain times and certain places and doing as he sees fit in that moment. And if all goes well and I am doing my job as demanded of me, then outside of that, I am grateful to be able to call my time my own. Um, I mean, obviously here, here it is. Again, it is quite lonely here, but I get to read. I do get to read. There's that.
But
Um,
there's a difference between reading and living. And, pardon me for saying so, but it doesn't seem as though you have lived.
well, well, I wouldn't say I haven't lived. I,
My
I,
dear, you
I.
spent, as your own admission, you said you don't normally leave this place. And you go ahead and you wait for those people who, I'm guessing here, that you have some sort of, that your boss wants something to happen with. And clearly, whatever party comes in here, you must speak with because you have some sort of, sway in their personal standings. So while you're here, and they're gone, and your spectral people are gone, and you don't talk to your co workers, well, for me, it seems like the only living you're doing is your books. Is that a fair assessment?
I I suppose so, yes.
So one could argue, unless you feel like you're living through these books, I don't feel like you're truly living. You have not seen... Well, from our own previous conversations, you have not lived as I have, or explored those options. The time arch does come here. You can leave with your guests should you want, on occasion, to see their world. I'm sure the arch would pop up just to make sure you came back safely.
I've never tried. Um, like I said, I was tasked with a certain objective, and granted this space as part of that, and
But surely,
I
if you say you want your freedom, then doesn't the Prince of Hearts allow you to explore your own heart and go on adventures and see and meet people everywhere and get to know these people, not just your clients, but embolden you to
I'm
see the
sure
world?
I'm sure that's in the cards for me at some point. It's just, I've been so busy.
But you keep
I've been
saying you're
busy.
busy and busy, my dear. But what does that mean? You have people who come in here and you do your talk show, but once they are gone, what happens then? And you even said once they are gone, you're back to here. So do you work strategically from here to guide people to their romances, or will you write your own romances to meet those other clients of yours, to meet their significant other? Or do
Well,
you
as
just...
I said, I do a lot of research. I make sure. I mean, he does keep the books just stocked plenty full for me. I'm never out of things to read. Um,
Yes, but what is research if you don't have your own? You have to have your own personal experiences as well. You can't just read about it. How can you help people find love if you yourself have never experienced it? Or even though you said maybe once you've experienced it, again, not pushing what that experience may or might not have been. But if you have not explored romance or love fully to its extent, or know that you don't even know if you felt love, how do you know that what you're giving people is the real genuine article if you yourself have never experienced it?
so people have auras, correct? People have auras, and that's how we know who our targets are and who the right targets are. And so when when we know we are given a task, we make sure that their auras match up and correctly align, and that is how we know that they are meant to be in fact together, and that is
That
how we start facilitating those
I'm sorry, but
bonds.
your boss is an asshole. Having the way that you do this seems so skewed. I mean, I have seen love, real love, from other people. I've felt it. I know what it's like. Never have it had it reciprocated, mind you. And I'm sure that must feel wonderful too. But, my dear, I am so sorry. I wish to hold your hand or to give you a hug. Because if you haven't experienced the true joys and you're just reading people based off of color, there's something hollow about love. Something rather lacking. A job is one thing, but not having actually experienced that with another being, in whatever sense that might be for yourself. I'm sorry, but I find that rather sad. Apologies if that's too forward of me, but I feel very sad for you.
No, that's quite all right.
And I'm not trying to make you sad. I'm so sorry.
No.
My heart just aches for you.
I truly hadn't, I suppose you'd say, allowed myself to think about it like that. Truly. Like I said, we're brought in and raised and trained and told and commanded to be a certain way and do certain things and behave certain ways, and I hadn't thought of that.
I would feel
I've
that...
spent,
Oops, I'm so sorry.
no,
Continue, please.
I just spent so much time with my books.
Don't you ever wonder what it would be like to be that main character, that protagonist? Looking for love yourself. Experiencing what there is. That research is one thing, but experiencing is a whole other facet of it. And I'm surprised it's not a prerequisite of your boss to have you be in love or have been in love. I mean, from the sounds of it too, the love from your own family sounds very harsh, if you can even call it love.
Yeah, well,
So
I
don't...
suppose it is difficult to recognize truth in those pages when it hasn't been so freely given,
My dear,
I suppose.
you deserve love. You deserve happiness. And sounds like you would like your freedom. But to be fair, it does not sound like you have it. Or you're not exploring it.
I suppose so. I suppose you're correct. Again, I just hadn't thought about it. I thought that by being here and being away from the Feywilds and being away from all manners of deceit and trickery, as some are meant to be inclined to in my region, I suppose I did view this as freedom.
My dear, I'm so sorry to, it be intrusive, but do you mind talking about when you thought you might be in love? If you do not wish to share, that is okay as well.
If you don't mind, I don't think I would.
Oh, no worries. None at all. Not in the slightest. But know that you're not alone, and I can come visit you whenever you would like.
I genuinely would appreciate that.
I do not want you to be alone. No one should. And again, from previous discussions, you know how lonely I am as well. So I can understand and relate very, very much.
Yes.
As I said earlier, if you do not mind me taking you out of here next week, I feel as though what you need is experience and an adventure. Something away from your job. It doesn't sound like you've had a break in a very, very long time. Something where you're able to explore Faye, Do you even know who you are? If you don't mind me asking.
What, I, up until half an hour ago, I certainly thought I did. Um, Now I'm not so sure.
I'm so sorry, my dear. It's just not my intent. I'm so sorry.
This, yeah, this is certainly, no, certainly not what I had intended for today's show.
I'm so sorry, my dear. Truly, and not
Quite all
intentional.
right. As they say, introspection is the key to finding happiness.
My dear, in roughly 5 minutes, we do have an ad break coming up, in which I will, if it's all right with you, take a break.
Of course,
If
of
that is
course.
all right with you, and then we will be right back after those 5 minutes. So
Yes.
our viewers don't miss anything. So then we'll just take a quick break while those could happen, but that's in 5 minutes. But my dear, I did not want to uproot you in the slightest. I am so sorry. I didn't realize. I just wanted to try to get to know you. I think you're a very interesting and lovely individual, and honestly, I just want you to be happy. Everyone deserves happiness, and so do you. Don't ever think you don't deserve that.
They say practice what you preach. Certainly seems like I have a bit of working to do.
You give happiness to everyone. You make them fall in love, and you give them one of the greatest gifts possible, even if it is in the most hollow way possible. But still, giving everyone that opportunity to love is a wonderful gift. But you yourself deserve that as well. Whether it be with a boss, a coworker, a friend, something that can develop into something beautiful. Having those birds chirp, or having that heart skip a beat. I've maybe ever held hands with a person once, and if I was lucky. But as I've told you previously too, for me, I have a very particular romantic interests.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, can't extrapolate too much on that, but I do have a very particular type, let's just say. But you deserve all the love. You matter too, and I'm sorry that you have not been able to have that. When was the last time you even had a break that you can remember, not from your job, period? When you've had a moment to escape that's not in a book that's for research. When you've actually just enjoyed reading, even.
Oh. Oh gosh, I suppose it's been a couple 100 years?
Oh, my dear.
Maybe?
I'm so sorry.
That's not that long. Of course not. That's not that long.
My dear, that is a lot of time. That's a lot of time. Remember, I've told you before, you're special. And enjoy the time that you have, because you are that special individual. You shouldn't kill yourself working every single day. You matter, my dear. You are enough for someone. And you're enough for me, if we're being honest.
Thank you.
You deserve the happiness. You're such a lovely human being. Or, not human, but you know what I mean. Faye.
Yes, of course. It's truly, we work with all sorts of manners of creatures, so it's very easy to
Do
yeah.
any of your coworkers have relationships with each other or outside? Do they have families?
Yes, of course, of course. Again, he, our boss, Prince of Hearts, is not just a Fae that decides to, oh gosh, what's a polite way of saying this? Bring just non-Fae together. He does indeed enjoy bringing Fae together as well. And
I'm so sorry,
some,
my dear. The ads are about to start. Do you mind holding that
but
thought?
yes,
All right, we'll be
of course, of
right
course.
back. All right. All right, guys, we're going to give a 5-minute break. We're going to have our starting soon screen up, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you guys for your patience, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Apologies for the ads. We only do them once an hour, so that was on the hour. Welcome back, and if you are now joining us, I am your host today, SP, aka Snick Boy, Snick Person. I refer to myself as Snick Boy sometimes, don't know why, but that's how we do this. But Snick Person is what I go by from now on, and we are here with the lovely and enchanting Faye. So, Faye,
Hello.
we were going into your co-workers having lives outside of their work. Do you mind extrapolating a little bit more?
Yes. So, as I was mentioning previously, the Prince of Hearts, he does indeed bring creatures of all races together, and does want them to have those connections with each other. So yes, my coworkers do, of course, have lives and families, and
So,
they do get to have those moments of connection, and it's quite nice.
then why have you isolated yourself?
Well, the Feywilds are quite terrifying, to be quite blunt. To be quite blunt, they are quite terrifying, And while there are protections living in the Unseelie Court and with the courts, they're not necessarily foolproof. And things can go wrong, and things can be bad. They can be very bad. And as a way to, you could call it self-preservation, I was given the opportunity to take the position.
Yes,
And so I jumped.
but, you say that your co-workers are intermingling and have families, but why do you not go and hang out with your co-workers or intermingle? Or you don't live here, my dear. So why don't you have a life outside of all this, whereas others do? It sounds like you're making up excuses saying the Feywilds are as maddening as they are, because others still live there, and I am quite aware of, how dangerous they can be. And it is a different reality in all. But you choose to stay here. You choose to watch from a distance. You choose not to have those interpersonal relationships with others. Why is that? What
Well,
are you really afraid
um,
of?
I am afraid of loss.
Do you mind if I ask you to elaborate, please?
In seeing what comes of these beautiful moments in time, and in seeing what can be done and the beauty of what can come from those connections and the growth and the just bliss of it all. And with living as long as we do, you also see the darker sides of it. You see what happens when the connections are with the wrong people. You see what happens when tragedy strikes. You see what happens when love is lost.
Oh, my dear, that is all parts of living. The good and the bad. I've been rejected more times than I care to admit. But that's okay, because at least I felt something. I felt something lovely. I felt something real. And while it has hurt, at least I can say that I felt it. And it's a feeling I would never trade. Whether it be love or a crush or something, it was a magical feeling that I experienced. And I wouldn't give it up for anything, even if it didn't work. You see, in order to live, you have to experience the good and the bad. Loss comes with it. And isn't it better to have loved and lost than not to have loved at all? Don't be afraid of loss. It is part of life. It is part of how the circle of life is. You can't have life without loss, whether it's friendships or romantic partnerships. People die, people leave your life, people might not be the best for you. And it's okay to grieve in all those situations. But at least you had that experience. At least you had those friendships. At least you had that love. At least you got to experience something worth living for. Even if it makes you heartbroken afterwards. You move on. You find new friends, you find new love. And who knows, maybe they'll come back to you in some way, shape or form, in another life even. But at the time, they brought happiness. It's worth it, I must say. It's coming from someone who has lost a lot.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Because right now, you might as well be dead, my dear. You're an immortal, or at least live a very long life that you haven't lived a single day in. Because of fear holding you back. You deserve it.
Yeah. Yes. Well, one day. One day.
Hopefully that day will come soon. As I said, our little excursion out of here next week will definitely be a much better experience, I'm sure, than having to stay in this place. A nice break, as it were. And I'm sure since you've been doing this for hundreds of years, the Prince of Heart can't have any qualms with you taking a day or two for yourself.
Yes. Hopefully. Hopefully.
Is he not? Does he not give breaks?
It's kind of like any other position, I suppose. You would need to request time off and have it approved and such.
Then I will talk to him and I will ask for him to give you time off.
Oh, please, no. Oh, gosh, no, please. Oh, you do not have to do that. I will handle it. Don't worry about that. I will go ahead and make sure I submit the paperwork and go through the proper forms and proper channels to do that.
Are you afraid
Please
of
do
him?
not talk to him. No.
Because it sounds like you might be.
No.
So then why the frantic
Not at all.
response?
He's just busy. He's just busy. Very busy, very busy man. And he's hard to get hold of. And it's just I wouldn't want you having to go through the trouble of trying to deal with all the bureaucratic bullshit and trying to track him down.
You know
fine.
my history. It wouldn't be a problem.
Yes. No, I'm sure it wouldn't. It's fine. I really, I will take care of that.
All right. So here's another question for you. What is your favorite scent?
Oh. Lavender, actually.
Why lavender?
Well, not only is it extremely calming, it's we don't have lavender in the Feywilds. And
Truly?
there was before my time here. As I said, there were brief moments in my history where I was able to get out there just a tiny little bit before accepting this position. And I went to the mortal plane, and I walked through a field of lavender, and it was breathtaking. And I felt so at peace in that moment. Not only just the visuals and the smells, but it's a very fond memory of mine. So lavender.
That sounds lovely. If you don't mind me asking, what would be your ideal date? If you were to go on a date with anyone in the world, what would your ideal romantic situation be?
Well, I suppose something truly spontaneous, something unstructured, something where the winds of change were the ones steering the evening. I mean, I don't necessarily have a particular date planned, or a particular set of events planned, but something where I could expect the unexpected, I think would be the most truly the most exhilarating thing for me.
I would say so. I think that's something that you would definitely appreciate. Consider the monotony of everything else that goes on in your current life.
I suppose there's that.
What,
Again,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just the questions I had never thought to ask myself.
What's your favorite date that you've read about?
Oh, well, there there was one where a there was a planned picnic and everything just kept going horribly wrong and nothing was going right and people were just making it impossible, absolutely impossible for this couple to just go on this little excursion. And by the time they finally got there, everything had just derailed so much that they threw everything to the wind. They left the picnic abandoned and they they went swimming. They went swimming. They hadn't planned it. They were on a cliff edge and just in the spur of the moment, they decided to find a pathway down to the waterfront and go swimming. And it was so silly. It was truly just so silly.
That sounds so
But
sweet.
it was very sweet.
I wish to experience something like that myself someday. Something that's silly and romantic, I suppose. Even if it is a more spontaneous kind of endeavor. You know, I always imagined what it would be like trying to go on a date. Never had the actual pleasure and experience to do that, but I would really love to sometime as well, because that sounds like a lot of fun.
It does, doesn't it?
Especially with someone you're enjoying your time with. Do you have any other hobbies other than reading?
Well, I I draw. I have my paints. I um I like to be crafty when I can. Outside of the typical shenaniganry of what the Fae are typically known for. Um,
Oh, so you're an
Not that kind of
artist.
crafty. I yes.
Do
Yes.
you write as well since you read so much?
Not a lot. I mean, I suppose in a what's the word? Conventional sense. I do write a lot. A lot of it is note taking and planning and that kind of thing. And I'm sure to some my writings may seem um, a little more entertaining than I intend them to be, based just on the materials that I read and the materials that I research and such. But
Do
I
you
wouldn't
write?
necessarily, I say.
Are you saying that you write your own spicy stories?
No, 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 no. No, just you know, encounter scenarios. I suppose. Different ways to plan the attack, as it would be.
Oh, I see. I
Um,
understand. You're crafting what you would like for your clients, essentially.
yes, yes. You know, different ways to bring them together. Um,
Do you paint your clients then as well, or do you paint, or do you have a favorite thing you like to paint?
um, I I do paint, not necessarily my clients, but I do like to imagine those moments, those perhaps moments missed, or ones that didn't work out that I really wanted to work out. Um, in the sense of, you know, you have your clients, and you are told that they will end up together and they must end up together. It doesn't matter for how long they're together, but they must cross paths. They must make that connection. And you know, you have certain ways that you can try, and sometimes it takes more than one attempt to make that connection happen. Um, and so sometimes there are situations that I would have hoped that worked out and didn't. That I do then come back and paint and uh, perhaps imagine that outcome actually having happened.
That's lovely. So our last question, because we are running out of time. What
Oh,
happens?
yes. Oh, gosh.
Oh yes, our time here goes rather quickly, as you know. So
Hmm.
what does happen if the couples do not stay together? Or do they always stay together?
Well, staying together, of course, is the end goal. You know, that's what you hope. But sometimes the connections that we are led to make um, are more of a, shall I say, flight of fancy,
Oh,
or a whim necessarily of you know, perhaps they aren't soulmates, but they are a match that, for whatever reason, the Prince of Hearts wants to see to some level of completion. Um, and so, even though our clients are assigned auras, and we do know who they are, their auras don't necessarily mean that they are truly destined for each other. Um, they're more like name tags, if you will, that we've been given to know who we are supposed to be connecting. Um,
oh,
and should they decide at some point to not be together anymore, that is a thing that can happen, and it does happen from time to time, and it is sad when that does happen. Sometimes it's for the best. But it is not detrimental to my career. It is not detrimental to my standing in the court. It is simply, as some would say, for at least the humans, it's as they would say, human nature. And that's not held against us, or us being me and my coworkers. We
That's
are
good.
simply,
That's good.
yes, we are simply tasked with the task of bringing them together, and that's that.
I was concerned. I didn't want anything to happen to you. You understand?
Yes, I appreciate that very much so.
Of course, of course. But, my dear, it does look like we are out of time. And we are going to go over and head to our friends over in our Eldritch channel, who we've been visiting. Thank you so much for being here, Faye. We greatly appreciate you being here.
Of course.
It truly does
Thank
mean
you
the
for
world.
visiting.
Of
Course.
course, of course. Thank you so much for being here. And if you all please will stay with us as we go through the time arch to go visit our friends over at Eldritch Pod Blast. We would greatly appreciate it. So we want to keep supporting other fellows as well. Faye, thank you once again. It was lovely getting to know you even further. And most likely next week we will be here once again in these seats. But I have a feeling our host might be different this time around. And they might be interviewing you again on what our experiences are next week. So please, everyone, stay tuned to see what happens on me and Faye's solo adventure with a new friend telling our story. So please, come and see a new DM our story, and come and enjoy a new and different Keystone Chronicles as well on the following Friday. Thank you guys so much, Faye. You are absolutely enchanting and loving and just lovely as always. So thank you so much for being here, and we greatly appreciate your time. And we do hope that you go ahead and enjoy your books.
Thank you. Stay curious.
Have a wonderful day, you guys. See you all soon. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us again at Tales of the Time Arch. Bye.